Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. This is my monthly roundup for October and it's going to be another short one, I'm afraid, so I apologise for that from the outset. It has been a busy month for me, but not in ways that you guys will find particularly interesting, really, because we're having work done on the house, which is the main event at the moment. It's been something we've wanted to do for ages, but it's been a case of waiting until we're in a position where we're financially stable enough to be able to afford it, and also in terms of finding someone who's reputable and reliable and affordable and available. And my aunt has finally got hold of someone who she recommended to us for a couple of little jobs. And it's kind of evolved from there as you've got to know him, you've got to figure out what his skill set is and how good his work is, that kind of thing, and just formed a good kind of relationship with him because he's a nice chatty guy, and as I say, he charges good rates as well. So yeah, we're making the most of him while he's got a free window in his calendar to try and get as much done as we can because we want to make the most of the opportunity. So we've been having stuff done on the outside of the house and in the back garden, and also we're having the kitchen revamped as well, and hopefully my bedroom will follow soon after too. So there's plenty of things we've got in mind. The more this keeps going on, the more things we keep thinking of. So yeah, we're just going to try and make the most of it, as I say. So it's a good opportunity. I also didn't have any shows or meals booked this month anyway, so I didn't bother booking anything new while all this was going on. And I have been out for one or two little walks around London as and when the weather allows, but there's not been anything really of interest to mention there either. So yeah, it's been pretty quiet really. All I have to mention in this month's post is just something I've been listening to in terms of music, and then a few things I've been watching as well. November, there will be some more stuff because I have got some things booked and arranged already, including with some friends of mine, which will be lovely. So we'll have more to talk about then. But yeah, this post for October is just going to be about a music box set and some things I've been watching, and that's it. So I apologise for that in advance, but I hope you find it interesting nonetheless. None of it's sponsored or gifted as per usual, all opinions of my own. So yeah, I'm just going to crack on with it. It's not going to take long, and I hope you find it interesting. So the first thing I'm going to mention is a music box set because Queen have re-released their first album, their debut album from 1973. It was originally called Queen, but they've now called it Queen 1. No need to really. The key thing is that it's not just been remastered, it's been completely remixed. They've basically taken the old multi-track tapes, converted them to digital, and then kind of enhanced every element of it really, because they want to try and make it sound the way that they wanted it to sound originally back in those days, because their equipment and technology and everything was very limited back then, so they can only do so much even though they pushed everything to its limits. So Brian May and Roger Taylor have kind of just gone through with some audio engineers and enhanced everything. So Roger's drums in particular have been significantly enhanced. They're much clearer. Bit too distracting, a bit too loud sometimes really, but sometimes they do add some really good power to the tracks, like Liar for instance is now really good. Now it's got some power behind it. Freddie's vocals are clearer as well. There is a bit of pitch correction in there apparently. I haven't really noticed it, to be honest. It's got some people up in arms. It's not necessary to pitch correct Freddie, but it's not really ruined the songs either as far as I can tell. I don't notice it, but then some audiophiles might do so. Some people are really heavily into the sound element, listening closely to every single note, comparing it to the original. They can notice the differences. Some people might just be able to hear the differences naturally. I'm just enjoying the tracks for what they are, so I'm not too bothered by that. Brian May's guitar is also a bit clearer. John's bass line seems to have suffered a bit. I don't think I've really noticed any changes to that. It may even be a bit quieter sometimes, so that's kind of been the sacrifice for everything else coming up in the mix. So yeah, the remixes aren't perfect. I'm not going to say they're better than the originals because they're not, but it's an interesting alternative to have. And in this box set there's other stuff as well. So the really impressive thing about this set is the sessions disc. That's my favourite element of it because you get to hear Queen at work in the studio. There's some banter before and after some of the tracks. It's interesting to hear some of the alternative versions of the tracks as well. So yeah, it's interesting and amusing in parts and stuff like that. So it's worth getting the 2-disc set for that rather than the full 6-disc set if you just want that kind of thing along with the remix of the album. But there is a 6-disc set. I've got the digital download version of it, which costs £17.99. There is also a huge physical box set for 150 quid, which has a vinyl in it as well and a big book and some photo prints and stuff. But because it is a remix, kind of an alternative version of the album, and a lot of the material in the set I already have in other ways anyway, it wasn't really worth forking out 150 quid for that kind of thing. So I don't need the vinyl, I don't need the stuff I've already got. So paying less than 20 quid for all 6 discs is much better value for money because I can discard the tracks I've already got anyway. But yeah, apart from the remixed album and the sessions, you've also got the Delane Lee demos, which have also been released before, but they've been remixed again for this set. So they don't really sound like demos anymore, which is kind of a bit of a shame really in a way, but it's nice to hear them polished up as well. So it's nice to have both versions of those. There's instrumental versions or backing tracks for the remixed tracks on the main album as well. And there's also the BBC sessions for the album tracks, which have all been released before in the on-air set and other sets before that as well. And then there's also a disc of live performances, including some from the Rainbow Theatre, which have previously been released on Live at the Rainbow. There's also a few other rarer tracks as well, which are more interesting. There's a performance of Hangman, which is one of those tracks that very rarely gets heard anywhere because it was never released on a studio album, never released on a proper live album apart from a bootleg album once. So to hear a proper live version of Hangman is really interesting, and Doing All Right, there's a very rarely heard live version of that as well. And then there's even a couple of tracks from Imperial College back in 1970, back in the days before John Deacon joined the band when they were performing live. So there's a couple of interesting tracks there too. So it's a nice box set. It's not an essential purchase to get the whole thing. If you just want the 2-disc set with the remixed album and the studio sessions, then that's perhaps better value for money. I was quite happy buying the 6-disc set as a download, as I say, because it was nice and cheap that way. But I wouldn't buy the physical box set because that's just a rip-off. A lot of people have bought it, of course. If you're a really big, devout fan of the band, then by all means buy it. But it just wasn't for me. I bought the Miracle box set a couple of years back. That was good, but this didn't seem like such an essential purchase in that sense. But yeah, I've enjoyed listening to it. I've enjoyed going through it. It's a nice alternative version of the album, and some of the extra tracks are great, particularly the sessions and the rare live tracks. I've written a review of the box set in my blog as well, so you can go and find out more about the various tracks on the discs if you want to go and read that. And I've also written in my blog this month a review of the first 2 series of the Sarah Jane Adventures, which is a children's spin-off from Doctor Who that I've watched for the first time in its entirety. It's strange to think I haven't actually watched it all before, but when it originally came out, I kind of dismissed it as a kids' show and just kind of focused on Torchwood, which was the adult spin-off, more aimed at my demographic. And yeah, just dismissed Sarah Jane, which is a bit of a shame really in hindsight. But, I was still relatively new to Doctor Who and all that then, because it was the modern era of the show. We were only a couple of years or so into it. So I just kind of focused on the things that seemed most interesting. But yeah, it's nice to kind of go back and watch the Sarah Jane Adventures. I bought the DVD box set because it was going cheap. So I thought, well, why not? Could check out the extras on there as well and review all that. And yeah, it's just a nice family show. It's good fun, lots of good humour and action and special effects and all that kind of thing. And the stories are really well written. And it does also deal with some tougher themes as well. Even though it is aimed at children, it does kind of talk about themes like divorce and anxiety and death and things like that very sensitively, and doesn't go too heavily into them, but it still does explore those kind of things. So it's very kind of thought-provoking as well. And yeah, as I say, it's just good fun. I mean, Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane is wonderful, as she was in the main show. K9's there, and Mr. Smith's there, of course, her supercomputer, and she's got Luke and Clyde and Maria and Rani around her. And they're all very good. It's all a very good team, and there's some recognisable villains from Doctor Who and some new ones as well. And yeah, it's just a really fun show, really. It's nice and easygoing, and yeah, I did enjoy it more than I expected, so I am glad I've finally got around to checking that out. As I say, I've written a review of the first couple of series, and then I'm currently going through the final 3 series as well. Obviously, Series 5 was cut short because Elizabeth Sladen sadly died. I'm still very much missed in the Whoniverse. And yeah, it's just been fun. So check out my blog for the next part of that. And when I do release the second part of my review of those last few series, I'll also unlock the playlist I've been putting together as well to go with it all, with lots of clips from the show and all sorts of extra bits and pieces, like I've been doing for my Doctor Who reviews as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for that too. But yeah, I have really been enjoying the series. And then moving from sci-fi to fantasy into something else that I've watched for the first time, at least as far as I can recall, I saw the Hocus Pocus film from 1993 to mark Halloween this month, because my friend Emily recommended to me that I watch it, or I should say insisted that I watch it really, because she's a big fan of it. She was quite surprised I'd never seen it. It did come out when I was 10 years old, so it's possible that I saw it during my childhood maybe, but then there's a lot of things I saw during my childhood only once or twice that have completely gone from my memory because it was so long ago. And I really don't remember this, even watching it, none of it rings a bell whatsoever, so I'm not sure I did see it. But anyway, it's all right. It's not something I would say is amazing particularly. Maybe if I'd seen it during my childhood I would have thought differently and stuck with it. But yeah, it's okay, it's all right, it's good fun, it's good family fun, there's some good humour in there, some good visuals and music and all that kind of thing. And it's basically about a trio of witches who are inadvertently resurrected, having been executed 300 years previously. So they're brought back to life, and if they want to stay alive and become more youthful, then they have one night to find some children and suck the life force out of them so they can become younger again and live for longer. That's not made easy by the fact that the teenager who brought them back to life, Max, along with his little sister and his crush from school who are with him as well, exploring this old house where it all happens, they've run off with a spell book that the witches need to use. And also the witches have to adjust to the modern world as well, because they don't know what a bus is, for example, and they don't understand people dressing up for Halloween because it wasn't a tradition like 3 centuries ago. So that kind of thing all adds to kind of the humour and the action of it all and everything. And yeah, it's nicely done, it's nicely written. So yeah, I'm glad I saw that at last to satisfy my curiosity. I do appreciate that it is a cult classic, and I can kind of see why people who have kind of grown up with it would appreciate it and would love watching it every single year. It's just not something I'll particularly go back to, and I'm not going to bother watching the sequel either, because again, I think you have to be a big fan of the first film to go on to the sequel really to appreciate the nostalgia, and even the sequel hasn't got amazing reviews anyway from those who are fans of the first film. So yeah, I'm not worried about that, but I'm glad I've seen the first film. You know, it's a nice Disney film for kids, so it's not too scary or anything like that. It focuses more on the humour and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just fun. It's a nice way to kill an hour and a half. It's worth seeing at least once. And then bringing things much more up to date for the present day, I've also really enjoyed the recent comedy drama series called Ludwig on the BBC, starring David Mitchell. He plays John Taylor, a reclusive and socially awkward puzzle enthusiast who's written a number of popular puzzle books under the pen name Ludwig. So he really enjoys that kind of thing. But he's faced with the biggest puzzle and mystery of his life when his twin brother James goes missing, and he ends up having to impersonate him to figure out why he's gone. That's made all the more difficult considering that James is a detective chief inspector. So John has to kind of take up his position in the police and pretend he's his brother, and that's obviously really difficult when he knows nothing about the job and he's socially awkward, as I say. So there's a lot of humour to be gained from that as he goes along. But he also ends up solving a lot of the police's crimes because of his logical mind and everything. So he really starts impressing people. So there's a kind of a murder of the week kind of theme to the series as they solve a different crime each week, as well as this overarching story that goes along through the series of where his brother has gone as he kind of investigates his disappearance. There's lots of twists and turns along the way. And he's been asked to do all this and is supported throughout by James's wife Lucy, who is played by Anna Maxwell Martin, who I saw in a theatre show earlier this year as well, because she knows that John's love of puzzles will be crucial to kind of solving this. So yeah, she's very good as well, as are the guest stars like Felicity Kendall. It's been lovely to see her in this, and Rose Ayling-Ellis, the deaf actor. And there's a cameo by Carl Pilkington, who people will know from his roles with Ricky Gervais working alongside him. So yeah, it's just a really good show, really interesting, as I say. There's comedy in there and some drama and various twists and turns, things like that. It's a good mixture of everything, and it's been so popular that it's been given a second series already, so it is coming back. So I'll be really looking forward to that. And I've also been enjoying my regular comedy shows as well, of course. So Taskmaster, as I mentioned before, I'm still very much enjoying that. And there's a new spin-off called Junior Taskmaster starting in November, featuring children taking on the tasks, with Rose Matafeo in the Greg Davis role of Taskmaster, and then Mike Wozniak is taking Alex's role alongside her. So that'll be interesting to watch, to see how the kids get on and see what the kind of atmosphere is like there. Obviously, it'll be completely different to Taskmaster. Rose isn't going to be nasty to the kids or anything like that. But yeah, it'll be interesting. There could be some interesting comedy there. I'll certainly check out an episode or two to see how it goes. And then there's also Have Got News for You and QI and The Last Leg. They're all back, which is good. And Comedy Central, I've got new episodes of Whose Line Is It Anyway USA, which Dave will probably pick up in the end, but I thought I'd record them on Comedy Central anyway, so I can watch them bit by bit here and there because there's so many of them. So yeah, there's plenty to keep me occupied, and there's other things I want to watch, like the Sarah Jane Adventures I'm going to finish off this month, and then I'll move on to Torchwood. And there's other things away from Doctor Who I want to watch as well that have been recommended to me or that are on my to-do list, so there's always plenty to keep me busy. So yeah, I'll be happily occupied for a long time yet. And that is it. That is all I have to talk about for this month. So I'm sorry it was so brief, but I hope you found something of interest in there nonetheless. And there's more detail about all these things in my blog post as per usual if you want to read more about them. And then in November, there will be more to talk about because I have got things arranged with friends and on my own that I'm really looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to further progress, in the work on the house too. That's coming along nicely so far. So whatever you get up to in November, I hope you have fun as well. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe as per usual. And yeah, I'll just leave it there. So thank you very much for watching and have fun. I'll see you for another video very soon. Bye for now.